Hello, everyone. Today, I will discuss the 2017 Equifax data breach, one of the largest and most costly data breaches in history. Equifax is a major credit reporting agency that stores sensitive financial information for millions of consumers. Before we begin, here's a brief overview of today's presentation. I'll discuss the Equifax data breach, including its root cause, the risks created by the breach, the financial and organizational damage suffered by the company, and the prevention and mitigation measures that could have reduced its impact. I will conclude with remediations and the estimated cost of remediation to help prevent similar incidents in the future. In 2017, Equifax announced that cybercriminals had gained unauthorized access to systems containing sensitive consumer information. Approximately 147 million people were impacted. The stolen information included names, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, and the driver's license numbers. Because Equifax collects and stores financial information for credit reporting purposes, the breach exposed highly valuable data that could have been used for identity theft and financial fraud. The primary root cause of the Equifax breach was an unpatched vulnerability in Apache Struts, a widely used web application framework. In March of 2017, a critical security vulnerability was identified, and a patch was released to address the issue. However, Equifax failed to apply the patch to one of its intranet-facing systems, leaving it vulnerable to attack. The breach was not simply a technical failure. It also exposed weaknesses in Equifax's vulnerability management and governance processes. The organization did not effectively identify all affected systems, verify that patches had been applied, or continuously monitor for compliance. This breakdown in internal patch verification allowed attackers to exploit a known vulnerability and gain access to sensitive consumer data. The incident demonstrates how a failure in basic cybersecurity practices can have significant financial, operational, and reputational consequences. The risk exposure from this breach was extremely significant because the stolen information cannot be easily changed. Unlike a password, consumers cannot simply replace their social security numbers or birth dates. Criminals could use the information for identity theft, fraudulent credit applications, tax fraud, and targeted phishing campaigns. The breach also increased long-term privacy risks because personal information may continue circulating on criminal marketplaces for years. The Equifax breach resulted in both significant financial and organizational consequences. Financially, Equifax reported more than $1.4 billion in costs related to breach response, legal expenses, customer support, and security improvements. The company also agreed to a settlement up to $700 million with federal and state regulators. Beyond the financial losses, Equifax suffered substantial reputational damage. Consumer trust declined significantly. Media coverage was overwhelmingly negative, and several senior executives, including CEO, resigned. The company also faced increased regulatory oversight and long-term challenges rebuilding customer confidence. This breach demonstrates that the true cost of a cyber incident extends far beyond immediate financial losses. Several preventive measures could have reduced the likelihood and impact of this breach. First, Equifax should have implemented a rigorous patch management process to ensure critical updates were applied promptly. Continuous vulnerability scanning and automated patch verification would have helped identify and remediate exposed systems. Multi-factor authentication and network segmentation could have limited attacker movement within the environment. Additional controls, such as maintaining an accurate asset inventory, implementing security operations center monitoring, and adopting zero trust security principles, would have further strengthened Equifax's security posture. Employee training and routine security audits also play an important role in reducing risk. Organizations must view cybersecurity as an ongoing process that requires continuous monitoring, improvement, and accountability. One of the most important lessons from the Equifax breach is that the prevention is far less expensive than recovery. If Equifax had invested more heavily in cybersecurity controls, many of the consequences could have been avoided. Recommended investments include a formal vulnerability management program, continuous security monitoring through a security operations center, incident response planning, employee security awareness training, and independent security audits. Together, these controls could cost approximately 25 to 43 million annually for large enterprise. While that may seem significant, it is far less than 1.4 billion Equifax ultimately spent responding to the breach. This demonstrates that proactive cybersecurity investments are not only a security necessity, but also a sound business decision. Thank you.